I'm Dave Sider, baby. This is Rock Radio UK. Today I'm speaking to the face, the man of Stonedead. Hello, Chris Sumby.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, you're looking nice and chilled, relaxed, and almost
Yeah,
normal after Call of the Wild.
yes, we've had 48 hours to recover, but yeah, we're just getting into the throes of all the Stonedead admin now as we're getting into June. It's normally sort of like our slippery slope down to August. I mean, this year we've got the benefit and sort of the absolutely amazing thing that was sold out with 9 months to go. So selling tickets and sending tickets aren't a priority at the minute. So we can focus on other things, trying to make the event better than it already is. So yeah, it's a nice position to be in.
I mean, that is the most amazing thing, though, isn't it? Being sold out without even announcing a headliner.
Yes, I mean when we started putting the bill together, because it's an 18-month project now for putting
Yeah,
the lineup together, and we had a fair proportion of it done before we finished last year's Stonedead. And then when we got the last few things in, and then we were ready for the announcement, we'd already done 3,500 tickets before we announced the band.
right.
So it was a case of, I think we'll sell out before the headline. I think we'll sell out probably going into January, February.
Yeah.
And then the tickets were all gone by the end of November, going into December. So we were all sort of flabbergasted, like, it's the last 1,500 went with the announcement. I mean, KK, Ugly Kid Joe, Doro, Bonafide, Eclipse, the Bites, Tail Gunner, and the Hot One 2 winning the poll before we've announced Saxon.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people kind of looked at the line and thought, well, you're going to have to pull something out of the bag to top that.
Yeah.
And we were saying, well, we've got Saxon. We know that, but like we couldn't say anything because we had to wait for the Judas Priest tour to finish.
Yeah.
So that was like held us back a little bit. I mean, as I say, we've had Saxon in the pipeline for quite some time, and we knew we wouldn't be able to announce them until March. So that put a little bit of pressure on us to make sure that we had a really strong lineup to announce first off,
Yeah.
to get people excited, thinking, my God, who's going to headline that? So it worked out all right in the end.
Yeah. I mean, there are two things there. You've probably had the worst kept secret headliner on the entire planet of any festival. I mean, everybody guessed Saxon, but you were so
Well,
tight-lipped.
I mean, I think once other events started announcing their headliners and certain bands started announcing tours, it kind of took our pool of like 12 possibles down to 2.
Yeah.
And I think the majority of people kind of guessed it was going to be Saxon. And there was a lot of people saying Airborne, a lot of people saying Bruce Dickinson, but as sort of plans unfolded, I was just sat there going, everyone's going to know before we even announce it. It's like, and so I mean, there was still one or two people got it a surprise, which is good. There was a lot of people thought, oh, Saxon on top of that's going to break the bank.
Yeah.
So hopefully everyone who was expecting Saxon will be happy about it, and those who maybe weren't half that bothered are going to be wonderfully surprised by Saxon and the rest of the lineup.
Yeah. I mean, Saxon, though, I mean, the whole idea of Stonedead itself was based on the Donington original format. And Saxon, they're sort of like the iconic band of the early Donington era, especially with the bands played on that particular song. So it's going to be rather special, isn't it?
When we first started looking at doing Stone Deaf, as it was in 2017 going into 2018, that was the band we wanted.
Yeah.
Saxon, and we tried, and it just wasn't going to happen. I think the problem we have, and it's the same with every new event, is established artists are going to be that little bit sort of conscientious about putting the name to something which is new, especially when it's fan driven like what we have. Because it's a case of, well, you don't know your ass from your elbow and stuff like that. So we could understand it the first couple of years, and then as the manager sort of came and had a look around and realised we'll do a decent show and we'll look after the bands, and he thought, yeah, this is going to potentially work. So as I say, we've tried every year for Saxon, and I was over the moon to finally get them. In fact, I did a fist pump with myself in the car when I was having the conversation driving home from work, and once we sort of agreed everything, I was like, little fist pump, skip through the front door, and just like, yep, happy days. Now, who else? So yeah, it's worked out really well.
Brilliant, brilliant. I mean, excuse me. To be fair, if you didn't have anybody above KK's Priest or Doro or anybody like that, the rest of the lineup, it would still be a hell of a gig.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of sort of people are saying this is how Donington 1984, where you could have had three potential headliners that day,
Yeah.
and AC top the bill. And when I was at Call of the Wild, in fact, no, I'm trying to think. I was at I want to say Slash in Newcastle in
Right.
April, and there's a couple of people kind of came over and said, I don't know how you pulled all that out of the bag. It's amazing, but who the hell are you going to get for 2025? It's like, yeah, thanks for just sort of like pissing on me chips, so to speak. I'm up here now. I'm sort of going to have palpitations going on, thinking, what are we going to do for next year? What are we going to do for next year? But we've got a good plan for next year, so it'll all be all right.
Oh yeah, you could tell me nobody's listening.
Yeah, sworn to secrecy.
Yeah, I know. Put in your leg, mate. So I mean, the story of Stonedead is quite unique in itself, being fan driven, like you said. I mean, starting from just a social gathering on Facebook to what it is now. I mean, did you ever dream it would get this big?
I think once we got past the first year, which is always
Mm,
the difficult, and we got such a good reaction, and the feedback was phenomenal. All of the bands had a great time. The general sort of consensus was, we pulled it off. We didn't get everything right. It wasn't perfect. The fans had a great time. The bands were trapped well, which is the main thing.
yeah,
If either of those hadn't been trapped well, we would have had a problem. But we had a bit of feedback from one of the tour managers, and he came and was at the end of the show and said, listen, I've got some constructive feedback. Do you want to know what it is? And I said, I'd rather know everything we've done wrong than everything we've done right, because we
yeah,
can't improve if we're just going on with what we've done right. And he wrote an email, and some of it I was a bit kind of like going, oh, right, okay. And other stuff was a case of, yeah, I can see that we need to improve. And he came back last year
right,
to have found, and he was amazed. And he said, you've obviously taken everything I've said on board, which we had. And it's just sort of, I think that was probably one of the biggest sort of like additional bits of foundation we had after that
yeah,
first year. And that kind of just made us sort of think a little bit more sensibly with what we were trying to do. And rather than go, we've done 1,800 the first year, let's go for 10,000 next year. That was never going to, it was just as baby steps, right? Okay, let's try and get up to 3,000. Once we've got to 3,000, can we fit 4,000 in? Once we've got to 4,000, can we get to 5,000? And I think 5,000 is now kind of like the max. We might be able to get a little bit more in if we're lucky. But as I say, going back to that initial sort of Facebook discussion as to where we're at now, and how sort of all the rock fans in the UK have taken us to their hearts, it's absolutely mind blowing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the triangular layout, shall we say, of the whole arena works so well with the traders on like three sides and the stage right at the front. I mean, it's very difficult to see how you could expand without moving the site completely.
So did you come to the first year?
I didn't know. I've only been for the last 2 years.
So the first year we actually had the stage at the opposite end of the showground. So it is where the big marquee is at the back of the arena.
Yep.
So we had it there, and that like kind of opens up the rest of the showground behind, like in front of it. The problems we had there was it was causing problems with noise going off to residencies, and
Right.
also when the sun came down, it kind of like came over there.
Yeah.
So if the stage was that side, we could probably go up to 20, 30,000 quite comfortably in the arena.
Yeah.
Parking would be very, very tight, and we'd have to look at other facilities. So the arena as it is now, you're looking at probably 5.5 is an absolute max. But it works so well, and I don't think we need to increase dramatically. Maybe if we can get another couple hundred people in comfortably, that would work. But no, I think in terms of how we're doing it and how the fans are coming and they're looked after, and there's enough facilities and traders and the bars, and they're not queuing for ages, and the toilets aren't a state. That's where we're We want to make sure that when the fans come in, they're looked after and they feel like they're appreciated,
Yeah.
and they're getting the value for the money for the 55 quid, or if the camping, I think it's 70 quid camping. You know, in terms of value for money, I think we've got it nailed.
Yeah. I mean, this is a particular subject at the moment, especially with certain ticketing agency doing dynamic pricing on certain gigs. I mean, is the price of Stonedead going to rise over the next couple of years, do you think?
We're going to have to look at an increase for next year, I think. But the problem we've got is everything's going up.
Yeah.
When minimum wage goes up, everything's got to go up with it.
Yeah.
You know, if we're the guys who we're using for the crew, for the staging, sorry, the lights, all of the technical stuff, the bar staff, their wages are going up. So to get people involved who have to be paid, the cost of that's going up. The first year cost about 80 grand to put on.
Right.
This year we're not really going to have much change out of 300,000.
That's making my buttocks clench just thinking about that.
So, you know, but I mean, looking at the first year and looking at what we've got now, you can see where the money's been
Yes.
spent, what's improved.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the stage the first year and you look at what we've got now, it's night and day. I mean, that first stage was brilliant. That, you know, it looked amazing. We were over the moon with it. But as we were growing and we wanted to attract the more established artists and sort
Yeah.
of get a sort of more international based bill, we've got to make sure that when they come on stage, it's right for them. You know, the space and all the gears there, and the sheds are there for them to have the crew do what they need to do. So yeah, it's yeah, I don't lose any sleep over it now. I used to in the first 2 years, but
Right.
it kind of looks after itself now. So I sleep like a baby most of the time.
Good man. So I suppose that leads to the question of early bird tickets when they become available is probably going to be a rather good bargain for next year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll still do the early birds. Again, there'll be a slight increase. I mean, bear in mind that we're now in our 6th year. We've only the tickets once, and it's gone up by, I think, a fiver for the arena tickets and a tenner for the camping tickets.
Yeah.
In 6 years. So I think we've sort of got lucky with how we've structured the pricing and worked the finances. But as I say, it'll go up next year. But the early birds will be on sale. They'll probably sell out just as quick as they did last year. In fact, I was just packing up to leave, and I had the website open, and I was ready to close the laptop, and I looked to see how many tickets we had left early birds, and it was literally down to the last half a dozen. So I was like, right, I can't do anything until these sell, and then I'll put the general sales on, and then I'm packed, and then we're good to go. And then so we did that, the sold, and then by the time I got home 2 hours later, it sold another few hundred, you know. And as I said earlier on, we've done 3,500 tickets before we announced the band. So the demand for whatever we do is there. But I think what we've got to be conscientious of is making sure that we don't sort of rest on our laurels and take that for granted. Because the year we do, or if we ever did that, and sort of the lineup wasn't as strong, people would sharply lose faith and confidence in us the next year.
Yeah.
So there's always that little bit of pressure to make sure that what you're doing for the next year is equal, or if not better, than what you've done the previous year and the year before that. So that's always in the back of my mind. It's like, what are we doing now? Is it on par or even better? Because we don't want to make anyone who's bought a ticket feel like they're being a little bit robbed or they're being a little bit cheated with a slightly weaker lineup. And, you know, we might not always have the big headliners like that, but I'll make sure that if we don't, the undercards spectacular. You know, me, Louise, and Neil, the other two directors, sit down and we have conversations about various things. And the other guys in the team, like Dowie and Toomsy, we all sit down and have little sort of conflabs of like, what do you think of these? What do you think of those? And yeah, it's worked out really well so far. So touch wood, that'll be here to stay. And we won't have any major headaches going forward.
I mean, it is tight for a lot of little venues. We're talking indoor venues. It is a tough industry at the moment. It is a difficult situation at the moment with small venues finding it hard to stay afloat, drawing customers. I mean, what what do you think makes you so special and so different from that? Just the overall
I
the
think
love of the people?
it's definitely down to the fans and the support we get from the fans, which, as I said earlier, we'll never take for granted. That's
Mm,
why we do get a little bit stressed to make sure that we can do everything within our power to make the show as brilliant and as memorable as possible, and put everything in place for them. I mean, things like negotiating the bar prices, letting people bring their own beers in, people can
mm,
bring their own foods in, making sure that when we get a trader coming in for the food, we don't overcharge. We charge very reasonable rates, so they aren't having to pay thousands out, and they don't pass that on to the customers. Um, Obviously, parking next to your tent, and then you're not like a million miles away from the arena. That makes a huge difference. And I think the whole ethos of being fans doing it for fans, how Bloodstock started all those years ago.
yeah,
Um, People, if you do it right, and you're not seen as a charlatan, and you're not seen as you're sort of trying to fund a Ferrari, people will sort of like trust you and put the faith in you and keep on coming back because they know you're doing it for the right reasons, and those reasons are for to make sure that the fans have a great time at your event. You know, I mean, Call of the Wild's exactly the same. What we've just had,
yeah.
it's fans doing it for fans, and you can see that, and you can see the likes of Dave, John Lee, and Raz. They're all dead passionate. I mean, Raz, like, you know, it's what I was saying to you before we started the interview. The lineups he pulls out are absolutely amazing, and
Yeah.
you know, and he's passionate because he's a fan, and that's how we are. You know, it's just, and as long as the punters can see that, and we're looking after them, that's all you know we need to do really.
Okay. So what are you, apart from Saxon, what are you looking forward to for the next Stone Dead?
Um, you know, I think we've got obviously the bites coming over,
Yeah.
uh, and they're going to be probably a lot of people's favourite band of the day. We tend to sort of have that with we have done since I think 2019 when we had massive second band on, like people are warmed up, the beer's flowing, and you get a band who just sort of lift everyone up and get them dancing. And then we had the same with Kick and Valentina,
Yeah.
and South of Salem and Draps last year. You know, I mean, South of Salem, like when we were talking to them for their production last year, and they were like, "We want to do this, we want to do that." It's like, that's what you want to do, knock yourselves out. And they came on all guns blazing, the pyro, and they had the dancers, and it just looked spectacular. And then the raps just came on and sort of like got everybody dancing. And it's a case of like, how's the next band going to follow on from that? You know, and that's what you want. Is the band booker and the promoter, you want to see every band coming on, kicking some serious arse, and then the next band going, right, you're giving us the run for our money here, but we're going to give it a good go. And you get that going up the lineup to the point where the headline is just like, just let's get on and do it, you know.
Yeah.
So, but for me this year, I think probably the bites. And I always look forward to getting home on the Sunday night and having a bubble bath
Yeah.
with me Redux sort of minerals and sage, and listening to me Spotify playlist full of 80s panpipe music, a little bit of Bronski Beaters panpipes, just sort of to get away from all the stress of the weekend. But Saxon are going to be phenomenal. You know, KK, when we're looking at the production they want to bring, is going to be amazing. Doro and Ugly Kid Joe underneath. I mean, it's like, it's going to blow people's minds. I mean, I think the bar is probably going to be the quietest it's ever been because no one's going to have time to go to the bar.
That is very true. Um, well, on that bombshell, I think I'll let you go tonight, sir. Thank you for speaking to me. Is there anything you'd like to say to the fans and the punters that turn up every year to Stone Dead?
Thank you for your support. We wouldn't be here without you, and we will see you at the bar in August. First drinks on you. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.